Hello, Algeta. My name is Hugo Temby, and I'm a new research fellow at the Pacific Security College. Recording this episode on Ngunnawal country, so I pay my respects to elders past and present and celebrate their continuing care for country. So with me today is Mr. Kemson Tavdey. He's the Climate Diplomacy Coordinator for the Vanuatu Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He's also been a visitor here at the Pacific Security College for the past few weeks. Welcome, Kemson.
Thank you very much, Hugo. I am very pleased and honored to be here. And it's been such a few weeks, few amazing weeks here with the Pacific Security College. And indeed, the college has a very amazing team that helped me out during my stay here. Thank you.
Oh, well, it's been good to have you. And you've been very busy. You certainly have. You're just back from Brisbane at a climate security event. And yeah, there's certainly a lot happening in that space.
Yes, indeed, I was in Brisbane for the climate dialogue. Yeah, the focus is mainly on the security. And it was jointly hosted by the Pacific Islands Forum and SPREP. And we also had the opportunity to have engage in a 2 days training on the nexus between climate, security, and peace, which was delivered by the Pacific Security College. And it was a good opportunity to have the regional senior government officials in the meeting and different representatives from different organizations. And as you've mentioned, yes, we also had a lot of different convenings on climate as we are looking forward to host the pre-COP in the Pacific.
Yeah, no, it's a big year ahead. And I suppose one of those pieces this year has been and will be the process around the International Court of Justice's advisory opinion on climate change and states' responsibilities. Now, Kemson, I know you and Vanuatu have been very involved in this process from the outset, and I know it's been a big collective effort. So I wondered, though, if you had any thoughts on the path ahead and the role of regionalism in that.
Yes, as you rightly mentioned, it's a collective efforts from everyone, particularly the students, the youth, and amazing leadership from the Vanuatu government. And we also have a lot of support from the diplomatic groups and the regional organizations that support this initiative and all the related process that leads to the successful resolution by the UNGA and also the unanimous decision by the ICJ last July last year.
And so the UN General Assembly, what's their role here? So what will they be considering later in the year?
Okay, so the process starts with the UNGA when they endorse the resolution to be to have the opinion from the ICJ. And then the Vanuatu and a dedicated core group that supported this initiative thought that it's very important to bring the advisory opinion back to the UNGA UNGA Assembly for their consideration and also for the implementation of the advisory opinion. So it's very important from the Vanuatu and the core group. And as we speak, now we engage on the resolution, requesting the members, the different parties to provide the inputs on the draft that has been circulated. And also we are looking forward to the convening of the UNGA next month, April.
Yeah. No, thank you. That's very interesting. And of course, that's not the only piece of the climate puzzle this year. As you mentioned, we have the pre-COP, the Pacific pre-COP. We've got the ICJ's the UN General Assembly's consideration of the advisory opinion. But that's not the extent of it. There's also quite a lot happening around the Belém roadmap. and this just transition away from fossil fuels piece that I think you're also quite involved in Kemson. Could you maybe tell us a bit more about this, the Belém roadmap and the Santa Marta summit that's coming up, and again maybe Vanuatu's role in some of those processes?
Yes, Hugo, thank you. Indeed, thanks to the COP presidency of the COP30, the government of Brazil for announcing its support to develop a roadmap on the energy transition, which is very important. And then he also mentioned in his statement that the international conference on the just transition that will be held in Santa Marta towards the end of April next month will form the basis of the roadmap. So at this stage, it's not really clear yet on the scope and the objectives of the roadmap, but I think it's a great step forward towards having the conversations around the transition from the fossil fuel. Vanuatu and the Pacific itself have been advocated strongly on the just transition. And early next month, they will convene a meeting in Port Vila to discuss common grounds on the just transition and also develop the common priorities before they can be heading to Colombia for the international conference. Hugo, I understand that you've been involved in some research on energy renewables in the Pacific, particularly in Samoa. So if you could share with us some of your thoughts on maybe the outlook of energy transition in the Pacific, and also the transition to renewable energy, as a lot of Pacific countries set their target for 100% renewables by 2030.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Look, yeah, it's a big piece, and a big part, as you say, of the just transition away from fossil fuels is towards renewables. And certainly, the events of the past few months with this massive fossil fuel supply crisis around the world, I think highlights the need for that transition to be urgent and orderly towards renewables. I was just looking at some of the numbers. We read that something like 20% of the world's oil is passing through the Strait of Hormuz, but in fact, something like 80% of Asia's oil is coming through that area, and almost all of the Pacific's oil is coming from Asia, so the Asian market. So certainly, there's a very urgent need to transition away from fossil fuels towards renewable sources, and this is really for energy security as much as anything else. There is a need, obviously, for decarbonisation around the world, but the Pacific, as you know, contributes only very remotely to global emissions. But certainly, there's a lot of upside, a lot of potential benefits from renewable sources, energy security, as we mentioned. But as we've been discussing over the past few weeks, also energy access in parts of the Pacific remains very low. Energy affordability, which across the region is prices can be are among the highest in the world, and then also there's a role for renewables to increase the resilience of energy systems to future climate and current climate impacts. And there's even some health benefits from cleaner air from moving away from diesel fuel, especially. But as you mentioned, we've been doing some research myself with some Samoan colleagues, and one of the findings there has been that for those many benefits of renewable energy to be realised, it's really important that the transition is managed equitably in an inclusive way, and with local leadership for it to be effective.
I am quite agree with everything that you've mentioned, because we need to address the issue of the energy transition more comprehensively, taking all different, looking at all the different aspects of it. And like you've rightly mentioned that energy access is very important, and affordability is important, and also the resilient infrastructure. So, because we know that the Pacific is very vulnerable to natural disasters, also like tropical cyclones. So we have to be able to recover as soon as we got hit by tropical cyclone that damages all the energy infrastructure. So,
Kemson, before we finish today, I wondered if you had any thoughts on what we are not paying attention to, what we need to be paying more attention to in the climate and energy space in the Pacific. Do we have any blind spots that you think we should be thinking about?
Yes, for me personally, in the climate space, is that the efforts and action must reach the local community, the grassroots. This is very important, so that they can be able to have proper resilient homes, resilient infrastructure, and also they can have direct support to the subsistence farming, which is also one of the major source of their income. And I also think that access to climate finance is very important, not only at the global level, but also at the domestic level.
And a role there for the Pacific Resilience Facility too, right?
We are still looking forward to the rolling out of the Pacific Resilience Facility, and I think it will give a lot of support to provide finance to communities in the Pacific.
Yes, well, Kemson, as you say, it's been a very busy period in the climate policy space, and it will continue to be, I think, throughout 2026. So thank you very much for taking the time today to come and reflect on that with us. Thank you for visiting the Pacific Security College as a visitor. It's been really wonderful getting to know you and your work. And yeah, thanks again, and all the best with it for the rest of the year. And thanks everyone online for joining us today.